Have you ever been caught talking to yourself? Not thinking, not mumbling, actually talking. Full sentences. Like there was another person in the room. Maybe you're in the shower. Maybe you're driving. Maybe you're walking through a supermarket. And suddenly you realize, wait, who exactly am I talking to? Maybe you've rehearsed an argument that hasn't happened yet. Maybe you've practiced asking for a raise. Maybe you've explained something to an imaginary audience. Maybe you've even delivered an Oscar acceptance speech after successfully taking out the trash. Or you've replayed a conversation from 3 years ago and somehow won the argument this time. Then for one brief moment you wonder, is this normal? Or have I finally lost it? Because if we're being honest, talking to yourself sounds a little strange. Conversations are supposed to involve two people, not one person playing both roles. If an alien landed on Earth and watched humans for the first time, it would probably be very confused. Why is that human arguing with himself? Why is that human giving himself instructions? Why is that human practicing a conversation that doesn't exist? It looks weird. But here's the surprising part. Your brain has a very good reason for doing it. Think about how much information your brain handles every day. What should I do next? Where are my keys? Did I send that email? What am I forgetting? Why did I say that embarrassing thing 3 years ago? And why does my brain insist on replaying it at 2 a.m.? Your brain is constantly juggling thoughts, thousands of them, and sometimes keeping them all inside your head becomes messy. That's where self-talk comes in. Here's the weird part. When you talk to yourself, it can feel like there's a second voice, not because there are two people, but because your brain is playing two different roles. One part has the problem, the other part is trying to solve it. One side says, "Where did we leave the keys?" The other side says, "Check the kitchen." One side says, "This presentation is going to be a disaster." The other side says, "Relax, you've prepared for this." It's less like talking to another person and more like turning your thoughts into a conversation. And that's actually important, because your brain treats spoken words differently than silent thoughts. A thought can be vague, a thought can jump around, a thought can contradict itself 5 times in 10 seconds. But the moment you say something out loud, your brain has to slow down. It has to organize the idea. It has to turn confusion into a sentence. That's why a problem can feel impossible inside your head, then suddenly make sense the moment you explain it out loud, even if you're explaining it to absolutely nobody. And here's the crazy part. Talking to yourself can actually improve performance. Athletes do it, students do it, pilots do it, surgeons do it. Focus. Next step. Don't rush. Check that again. Talking out loud forces thoughts to become clear. Your brain stops juggling possibilities and starts giving instructions. Humans have probably been doing this for a very long time. Imagine a caveman trying to survive. He has to remember water, fire, shelter, food, dangerous animals, dangerous people, and Steve. Because Steve keeps making terrible decisions. That's a lot of information. Talking through problems helped organize it. And organized humans survived more often than confused humans. But solving problems isn't even the most interesting reason we do it. Sometimes it's emotional. Have you ever made a mistake and immediately said, "Come on, you know better than that"? Or maybe, "It's okay. You'll figure it out." That's not your brain malfunctioning. That's your brain doing something surprisingly useful. For a moment, you become two people, the person with the problem and the person trying to help. Think about it. You're usually much better at giving advice to a friend than to yourself. When it's somebody else's problem, the answer feels obvious. When it's your problem, everything feels complicated. Self-talk creates a little distance. It lets you step outside the situation for a moment. You become the friend, the coach, the advisor, the voice saying, "Relax. You're overthinking this. Just take the first step." And here's the strange part. The advice was already in your head. You didn't learn it from someone else. You already knew it. You just needed to hear it from somebody you trusted. So your brain created that person, and it turned out to be you. So, is it normal to talk to yourself? Probably more normal than not talking to yourself. because every day your brain is trying to manage thousands of thoughts, worries, memories, decisions, and plans. And sometimes, the easiest way to organize one brain is to pretend there are two. So the next time you catch yourself talking out loud, practicing a conversation, or asking yourself where you left your phone, don't panic. You're not losing your mind. You're doing what humans have probably been doing for thousands of years, using language to think, turning confusion into clarity, taking a complicated brain, and making it easier to understand. One conversation at a time, even if both people in that conversation share the same brain. If you want more content like this, please subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next one.